Okay. Okay, guys, you are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. I guess we can just start 4:05. So by 4:10, you are welcome, ma. So by okay, good. We can just start right away. Please just raise your hand if you can hear me, so that I've muted everybody, so I won't have to be going over and over that again. Now we just start the class off immediately. Okay, now you are here. So we can start right off. They will join us because we don't have the time. So good afternoon, ma, and good afternoon, sir. So this afternoon, we'll be discussing how to grow and process tomato. There are two topics, so I'm going to be a bit fast, but like we normally do, if I'm fast, you can just signify by raising up your hand. I'll slow down so that we can move. So there are two things. We have just 2 hours, and I felt to me it's always very short because I know there's a lot to share and there's a lot to discuss. So the first one is how to grow tomatoes, and the second one is how to process tomatoes. So right here we're going to start off with how to grow tomatoes. Now there are things you need to know before you start growing your tomatoes, because if you don't know them, it gives a lot of issues. So I'm going to start from there. Now, the first one, let me introduce myself for people that are joining us for the first time. My name is Yinka Adeshola. I'm a geologist turned farmer. I'm an advocate for farmers networking. I believe so much in our working together and networking, as in, okay, if A and B plus C plus D can combine efforts, we can move mountains. But if we keep going in our different directions, then we won't be able to get anything done. So I believe in networking to achieve a goal. Then I'm a passionate farmer, and then there's a book I'm working on, an ebook. It's going to be really short. A lot of people have been asking me, one, what will it cost them to set up drip tapes, and then what type of irrigation is good for them, and all this stuff. So I'll be sending it out. That should be by coming week. It's a farm irrigation book. It's an ebook, so I'll be sending it out to everyone. I'll be sending it out. It's going to be a token, but at least what it will cost you. I'm going to do the analysis I did there is, okay, you are in Delta, I'm in Kwara, I'm in Oyo. So there are some prices that are equals, and there are some prices you have to find the prices in your locality because it doesn't fit each other. So farm irrigation, and then the best type of irrigation. I discussed a lot about it so that people can really get it. Okay, so now how to grow tomatoes. Now I know the way I split my topic. There are types of tomato in the market, so we'll be discussing that. Okay, you see, sometimes you plant as a farmer and you get to the market, some of the market, they will tell you this is not what we want, this is not what we want. So in those cases, in that case, we really need to know, okay, what exactly do they need in the market? What did I need to produce? What did the market need? So now, the second one is peak and glut season. We'll be discussing intensively about peak and glut season. Then tomato seed classification, which is very important. Like I said, I will be moving fast. I discovered because there are two topics we're dealing with. One is intensive, while the other one is a cluster something. We are not forming cluster there, but I will just explain how they want it to work for people that might have interest, or if you want to, okay, I can collate cluster here. Now, types of tomato market. This classification is my classification, as in my classification in the sense that, okay, I classified it into open markets. There's open market, there's standard market, and there's processors. There are processors. I will explain them one by one. For the open market, we have like all this Mal 12, Ile-Epo in Lagos, Shasha Market, the market in Port Harcourt, all the other market that you just plant your vegetables and you pick your vegetables, you take them to the market and you expect them to buy. Now, the standard market is what I refer to as all these ShopRite, Spars, Foodco, and then hotels and restaurants. They are the standard market. So, you know, if you have arrangement with them, we'll be breaking them down one by one. Now, the other one, the processors. The processors, they also deal with tomatoes. They are Dangote, Dansa Company, Dangote Company, and other processors company. Actually, currently, the processors are importing, but we'll take it one by one. Now, so what we have here, okay, I'm going to be discussing peak and glut period before we move to the types of markets. Now, because somebody asked in one of my classes, said, what is glut or what is peak? Peak period is when the price of tomatoes sell very high. As in, you go to the market and a 20 kg of tomatoes will be selling for 20,000. Or sometimes it goes as high as 25, 18, 15,000. You know, that is peak period. Why do we call it peak? It has a peak price. That's the price is high. So now, why is the price high? Now, in peak period, the price is extremely high because there is low supply of tomatoes to the market. Now, the question we'll be asking again is, why is there low supply of tomatoes to the market? Why? Actually, are farmers not planting? What is happening? The same thing in glut period. In glut period, you find out that the price is extremely low. The same 20 kg basket that we're just discussing, you'll be buying it that you were buying for 20,000. You find out you are buying it in the market for 2,000. So you keep wondering, what is happening? Why is this so? So this is what causes it. Now, in the north, I'm going to tell you some stories. In the north, the northerners, the training will be, some of the things I want to discuss will be coming out right here now. Why there's peak and why there's glut. In the north, they are the major planter. They plant everything in bulk. They are the one that decide our market price. They are the one that decide when there will be glut, and they are the one that decide when there will be peak. And I will explain why. In the north, there are different types of tomatoes. I think I have them. There are different types of tomatoes. I have them here. There are some tomatoes that you can only plant them in dry season. And there are some, as in you can only plant them when there's no rainfall. And there are some tomatoes, you can only plant them during rainy season, in rain season. If you plant the tomatoes that is meant for dry season, in rainy season, if you plant the tomato that is meant for rainy season in dry season, they'll be cracking up. That's when you go to the market, sometimes you see some tomato, it's not leak, it's not busting, but you see some, as if it wants to cut or it wants to break, there'll be scars, scars on the tomatoes. That is, those tomatoes were planted not at the right time when they were supposed to be planted. So because of that, they will, understand. So, and the same way, if you plant the rain season tomato in dry season, you find out it will misbehave. So they are tomatoes for different seasons. So in the north, I remember when discussing in onion class then, I told some people that the northerners has found the onions that is suitable for their environment, and that is why they were able to continuously grow that onions. The same thing with tomatoes there. In the north, they don't grow tomatoes in rainy season. They only plant their own tomato in dry season. And because they plant in dry season, their dry season starts from rainy season in the north is May, June, July, and there are some few parts of August. So because when they plant in rainy season, their soil is very light. So the water, the erosion will wash up the soil, and there'll be nothing to hold the stem of the tomatoes. So the specific tomatoes that can survive in the north, in their land there, can only be planted in dry season. And because their tomato can only be planted in dry season, during that dry season period, everybody moved to the north to go and plant tomatoes. And in that period, they plant in thousands. A farmer might have like 200 acres, 300 acres. And then they are lucky again, they have irrigation. So during that period, they start their planting in September every year. This has been going on for the past 20 or 20 something years. I personally got to know in the last maybe 5 years. That's when I know all this one. So it has been going on. So they plant around September it's yearly. It is every year. So when they go to the farm in the northern part, you see, they are irrigation. They have irrigation system. So they go to the farm and they plant plenty. And any tomatoes that they plant in September, it will be the tomato they plant in September will be ready. You know, tomatoes are 3 months, 90 to 120 days. In 90 days, even some are 75 days. Some tomatoes are 75 days, some are 80 days, some are 90 days. But we usually say 90 days. So when they plant that tomato in September, count 90. You have October, November, December. So northern tomato, the one they planted in September, will start coming out by December. But the one they planted in October will start coming out by January. The one they planted in November will start maturing by February. The one they planted in December will start coming out in March. So what happened is that every year, January, February, March, there's always surplus tomatoes in the market. Every year in Nigeria, they don't miss it. You will have surplus tomato January, February, March. That is when that same basket, that is what we call glut. That basket that is 20,000, 20 kg, which means 1 kg for 1,000, will now be selling for 2,000, even 1,000, because they flush the market because of their seasonal planting. Now, the challenge in December, see, the one they planted in December is supposed to be coming out in December. The one they planted in September is supposed to come out in December. But because of our activities in December, there's a lot of celebrations, parties. There's a lot of people that are doing wedding, things that have been postponed to December because of festive period. So we won't feel it much that their tomato is gradually coming in. So the price in December is usually like average price. You know, see what I wrote here, tomato planting by region. One, northern farmers, they have irrigation. So they plant September, October, November, December. Now the harvesting now come in December to March. But the one of December, we won't feel the surplusness. We won't feel the surplus because of parties and occasions and everything. It is immediately we finish all these celebrations, you find out that tomato become, and their trailers will still keep coming because they've planted it and they don't have any other place to push it to. So they still keep coming. And so for me personally, if I'm planting on now, already on the farm, we have tomatoes. We get there. I'm going to, because for you to plant tomatoes, for you to make money from planting tomatoes, you need to understand the season. It's very, very important. Okay, so now when they now come, December, we won't feel it. But by January, the market will be flooded and there will be plenty tomatoes. And that's where everybody will be shouting. Now, as of the time they were planting that tomato and they were bringing it, don't forget that in the Southwest here, we are not planting in the South and Southwest and South. When I say South, in the southern part, we are not planting anything. So when the northern farmers are planting, their September is coming out in December, their October is coming out in January. We are not planting anything here. So it means by the time they finish harvesting the last batch they planted in March, the last batch that they planted in December, that is coming out in March of coming year or of this year, by April, the tomatoes will be going in circulation. As in, it will be reducing because they are finishing harvesting the north. So that April that the northern farmers are finishing harvesting, because nobody planted any other one that will be coming out in April. Sometimes now April can be dicey. If they have plenty, it extends into April or middle of April or to ending of April. But if they don't have plenty, it stops by the end of March. So I put April as an average because in April, sometimes in April, we'll be in glut, the period where it's surplus. And sometimes in April, we might be in peak, the period where it's scarce. So April is dicey because that's the end, that's the cross, where they cross from the glut to the peak. So by May, I can bet that one with you. There's no, because northerners do not plant tomatoes in January. So by May, there'll be no tomatoes in the market again because there's no supply again. It is so May, June, July, going to August, there'll be no tomato. And that is when the price is usually as high as you can think of, because nobody plans to support it. Now, let me now go back. The southern farmers here, we do not have irrigation, as in most of the southern farmers, even if we have irrigation, we are not utilizing them. As in, to be candid, Oyo State have 20 dams, just like Kano. Kano has 21 or 22. Oyo just has one dam less than Kano, but we are not utilizing it. It's not only Oyo State. Oh, Ekiti State has about 15 or 16 dams. Osun State too. Every state has dams. They are not really, I don't know, farmers are not utilizing these farms, or I don't know what happens, but we are not using it in the south. The mentality, or there's this farmer belief that we cannot grow all those things here. No, it's not true. We can grow them here. So we are not using it. So now, because of that issue, we now have that, okay, by southern farmers in my locality here, because, remember those times that the northern farmers are planting, there's no rainfall. They were using irrigation. So in the south too, there's no rainfall. But we are not even planting. Here, farmer will now target to start planting by early rain in March. Here we start having rainfall in March. That is when farmers in the southern part here, especially in the southwest, Ogbomoso people and all these people that supply again, that is when they target to use rainfall. What they do is that they will first start their nursery briefly, and when they start the nursery briefly, they now wait so that the rain will come and support them. So they start their nursery in March with the hope that if the rain come early, they can start transplanting in April. So it is now those ones that the southern farmers are planting in April. It will still take 3 months before it will come out. So April, then May, June, July. So May, there will be no tomatoes. They are still planting in the southern part. June, there will be no tomatoes. Please note other thing. July, there will be no tomatoes. There are tomatoes in the southern part, depending on how fast the rain came, how fast the rain started that year, is when they will start having in July. Now, what will now happen in July again is that because all the farmers in the southern part have rushed to the farm again to plant tomatoes, all the farmers in the southern part. So what they do is that the market gets flooded again, as in by July and early August. The one they are planting, see, the southern farmers are not planting as much as the northern farmers, so it's a low quantity. But the period they're harvesting, they all harvest at the same time because they all planted with the rain. So in July, we go back to glut. I think I have by the time you start watching the year, I have I think I wrote all the months down so that you can really understand it. So okay, so the southern farmers, since they are not planting, until southern farmers are not planting, their southern farmers will now start coming in July, start coming in July, August, there will be glut. But because the quantity we plant in the south is not much, that July, August, the tomato, okay, let me give you an example. Last week in my community here, last week is ending of July or 2 weeks ago, they were selling a small basket. Our baskets are quite different. They were selling a small basket here. They were selling it for 300 naira. Now, I was discussing with my students yesterday. I told them tomato price is now 300 naira, whatever, and they were shouting. But today, to my greatest surprise now, when I got to farm today, I was told tomato price is now 700 naira. Now, it means the glut that is caused by the southern farmers' tomato is already going. That one used to be very short because the quantity produced is not much. So because the quantity produced is not much, then the glut is already going. So right now, from this moment I'm speaking with you, price of tomatoes start going up again. That small basket I'm telling you, 700 naira, will soon become 2,000, 3,000. Now we enter peak with what I'm explaining to you now. So now, once the southern tomatoes finish, round up this August, October, there will be scarcity of tomato again. November, there will be scarcity of tomatoes again. Then but don't forget that The northerners have started they will start planting in September. So December is dicey, depending on the quantity and the celebrations and everything. January will run back to glut again. So that is the cycle. That's the cycle tomato has been taking for the past 20, 30 years in Nigeria. Because you understand. So if you understand that season, then you will know how to plant your tomatoes if you really want to make money from open tomato planting. Now, let me now explain. Okay, for my farm now, currently as I'm speaking with you, we've transplanted our tomatoes. They are just about flowering. Now, the target is they will be ready by, this is August. We are just going to middle of August. They should be ready by by September. By ending of, our tomatoes should be getting ready by ending of September, and then we'll sell October, November, which is going to be another peak. It's a targeted something if you really want to do this. So now, as it is now, we are not planting tomatoes again for this year. I'm not planting, my team, my group, we are not planting tomato again for this year, because we know after anyone we are planting now, this is August, it's already missing the peak period when the price will be high. It's going to fall in December. So we are not planting tomatoes again for this year. So once you understand that period, then every other thing we're discussing will be easy for you. And then you'll be able to determine, though there's some other things I'll be explaining on how we can plant. So now we've talked of types of tomato market, and then I've just explained peak and glut period, how we can work towards it. Now we're going to be looking at the market now. We are going to be looking at this market, since we've just discussed peak and glut period. Like we normally do, once it's like 5 o'clock, after an hour, I will stop, then we can ask questions before we move on. I like doing that so that we learn along together. Actually, it's supposed to be a discussion group, but unfortunately, you know the way when people are plenty, the noise could be ahead. See the calendar I made here. Peak and glut tomato month. I've just explained this right now. That's the way the cycle continues every year. Now, so I've explained this. I just finished explaining. Now, the markets, I've explained this too, the way northerners plant and the way we ahead. So now we're explaining the market. I told you there's open market and there is standard market. Now, this is the open market. Open market are our general, mile 12, mile whatever ahead. Now, because there's the way the tomato market works, in open market, there's no standard measurement. See, I'm telling you that 20 kg basket. If you go to mile 12 to buy, they don't weigh. There's no scale in mile 12 to weigh tomatoes. No. Then they don't use the plastic crate. I'm mentioning plastic crate, but if you are going to open market, they will not use plastic crate for you. What you will get there is the raffia basket. You know, all these are our mats, raffia basket. And now, that raffia basket, you find out that the size varies, especially the big ones that are coming from the north. Those big ones that are coming from the north, they are 50 kg, 55 kg, 60 kg, even there's 70 kg. But the funny thing is that the price, is when they just use eyes to gauge it. If you go to the market, nobody will tell you are pricing 50 kg or you are pricing 55 kg or no. Now, this falls back on farmer. So most times, farmer tries to be smart. They look for the smaller size of the basket. If it is peak period, when the price is high and when there's scarcity in the market, the smaller size sell very fast. But if it's in glut period, even the buyers, those women that will come and buy, they will refuse to take the smaller size. So now in the open market, there's no standard measurement. You can buy 50 kg basket for 50,000 or 30,000. You can buy 70 kg for the same price because they don't measure it, they don't scale it. That is how they sell. Price fluctuates. Let me give you a gist. If you are a farmer, you want to go to my 12 market. If maybe you are two farmers, your partner went to the market, your partner carry his 10 basket to the market early in the morning. When he gets to the market by 8 o'clock, if the price could be 10,000 naira, sell at good price. Now, So she goes to the market and she sells at 10,000 naira. You that you are just coming, you might come in around 12 o'clock. And by the time you get the around 12 o'clock, the same, by the time you get there around 12 o'clock, the same tomatoes, the same basket will be selling for 5,000 naira. So it's quite, to be candid, especially we that we are even in the village here. I will call my 12, we'll call the agent. I say, how much is tomato? Agent will tell you, it's 20,000 naira. Please don't bank on it. You might get there, it might be 8,000. You might get there, it might, it's most times even fluctuates down. So most times farmers struggle for morning markets. They believe morning market is the one that sells most. So this tells you price fluctuates. As the day is going down, they believe vegetable is getting spoiled already. So your price in the market, the price at which you sell keeps reducing. So these are the challenges of open markets. Now, extremely red tomatoes. Another challenge that we face there is that they will ask you for extremely red tomatoes. I remember when I started going to this market, I was struggling. I was buying every type of tomato seed because I want to get red tomatoes. It took me years, not even, because if I want to buy seed, I'll just call the seed seller. I want red one. I want red. They will give me, they say this is red. At the end of the day, we take it to the market, you discover it's not as red as what we are seeing in the markets. At some point, I started a system. When we get harvest tomato, I'll put the very ripe one on top. We'll put the not too ripe one under. But you know what? When you get to the market, the first thing the market women will do is they will turn it they will bend the basket and use their hand to scrape it to see if the underneath is red. Until the day I went for a training at IFDC training, I met some farmers there. And they were saying they're tomato farmer, they were telling me. So I asked them, I said, Baba, your tomatoes, how do you, where do you get red seed? As in the one that is where do you get the one you take to the market that is red? Baba said, red, okay. No, that once they plant and they are ready to go to the market, they spray it. You spray what? They spray, you understand what I mean? So once they spray like this, everything becomes ox blood red. And that is what they sell in the market. That was when, I stopped searching for red seed. And I know I have a big problem on my hand because my tomato will not fit into the normal market. You understand? So I stopped searching for red tomatoes. But now, no quality or requirements. The number 4 one, the open market. In open market, there's no quality or required. Tanya, Elena, Malo, what do you know there? Oishe Mumbo. Class, please excuse me. I'm on Jen. They brought lights. Sorry, please. We don't always have lights, yeah? And sorry. So you see, so I discovered there's no quality. When you go to my 12, there's no quality required. As in, you can plant any type of seed and you take it there. Your vegetable, your tomato will be sold based on the market demand. If the market demand is, as in, if you take any type of tomatoes you can plant, you can take to the open market. If there's scarcity in the market, your poor products will sell. But if there's no scarcity, your product will not sell. They will buy the quality one before yours. But there's no quality or requirement. You can take anything to open market and you sell anyhow. Now, the next type of market I mentioned we have is the standard market. Now, in standard market, I actually name it this. Nobody, it's my own, it's me that created the name for it. In standard market, what I refer to as standard market is when you talk of ShopRite, when you talk of spas, when you talk of ShopRite, spas, hotels, and restaurants. If you want to talk about them, those are the standard market that you know. So now, in standard market, there's a measurement. Like, you know, in Mal 12 open market, Shasha, and all these other markets, there's no kg, there's nothing, whatever you take there, they just, you know. So, but in standard market, they sell it, you sell to them in kilograms. As in, if ShopRite is buying tomatoes from you, you sell per kg. So you scale it right from home, you know what you're taking there. And when they get there, they scale it also. And then there's an agreement already, even before you take your tomato, unlike the other one, before you pick your tomato from the house, before you start moving there, you already know what they are going to pay you. You know what your tomato costs. Now, the second one, price is stable all year round. Yes, in the other standard market, price is stable. If they give you a price list and say, look, we are buying at 500 naira per kg, that is how much you'll be selling for the next 1 year, 2 years, or until you sit down again with them and they say, okay, guys, we need to change the price. Or if you farmers are not happy or you don't want that price, you can say, okay, please, we need to review this price. The price is not like that. Or, that is, the price is stable. Now, quality is demanded. I remember the first time I went to supply that ShopRite, I got angry with them because they were giving me so much azus, because I'm a rural farmer just coming to supply to the shop, you know, that kind of thing. Actually, they create a tap there where you will clean everything. If you are going with something that is washable, you wash it. They will tell you if you don't make it clean, they are not collecting it. So since we know, unlike the other market where we just take everything, you harvest as sand there, everything there, you go and drop it there. But because you know this one, they're standard, before we even leave the house, we'll have cleaned it to save ourselves some time. We'll have cleaned those things we want to give to them even before leaving the house. Now, I have mentioned quality is demanded. Then half-ripened tomato. If they are the one that is taking tomato from you, they are not taking ripened one. They don't want the reddish one because it's going to be displayed on shelf. And the half green, half red. So when they keep it on shelf, it stays longer. To be candid, if I harvest tomato that is half ripe, it can stay 3-4 weeks without registration, without anything. It stays 3-4 weeks. Half ripened tomatoes. Now, supply is all year round. If you are supplying any, like, okay, for instance, my team supplies ShopRite. The challenge we currently have is people that will produce for us. Yes, people that will produce. I've announced everywhere. That's why even all these ideas of clusters of this came because of that purpose and because of the store we have in Lagos. That, look, guys, I need to create farmers to bring all these things out, because the initial thought that one of us has that farmers are not getting market, they are not getting market. But now I realize there's market. Farmers are not consistently supply. So I need to find a way to make them consistently supply. If not, we have a lot of things. There's demand. ShopRite right now, like I told you, they're always sending me messages. I have to push them to my partner. They want all these things, but we don't have them. We don't even have, the quantity we produce cannot meet up with the demand they want right now. We've not even talked of other spas and all this one. It's even ShopRite that is still bothering us now. So that is that with shops. Then the other type of market that I still have is the processors. Now, let me explain. The processors, when we talk of processors, they are the Dangote. The processors are the Dangote. Maybe my cursor is not cooperating with me. The Dangote, they are the processors. In their own case, they need tomatoes all year round. Dangote, Dancer produce tomato. What happened is that they import, I think they import tomato paste, because they all the sachet tomato, tin tomato, and every other thing. They import the paste. They now convert it into those packs. Dangote established his company in 2014. And since that 2014, I'm not sure they've been able to produce 5%. I'm not sure, no. Because I'm in some of the groups, some of the groups with them, and they are always trying to do everything. So that one we're not discussing it because it's a different ball game. I will explain. For tomato, for you to be able to produce for Dangote, you can't move tomato over a very long distance. We don't have a cooling system. We don't, unlike pepper that can suffer a lot. Tomatoes cannot go through all those moistures without cooling system. So we are not even going to all this processing stuff. I'm not discussing with the big processors. These are big processors. Eventually, before the end of this class, we'll be discussing the smaller processors, which I have contact with them. And initially, I was not using it for anything, but we'll discuss it. We'll see what. So we are not discussing the big processors. I'm sorry, they are even big. The reason is we can't, I'm not sure. Let me not say we can't. There's no impossibility. For now, we can't meet up with what they want. So let's move on. So now the next thing we'll be discussing here is tomato seed classification. There are two, see, this is tomato seed class. Tomato seed are classified on several bases. But this one, I'm basing it on hybrid and on open pollinated. So I will explain it so that you understand it. When we say hybrid seeds that are, see, most of the seeds we use in Nigeria are imported. Even the open pollinated are imported. But the difference is that hybrid seeds are specially produced to give you maximal yield. For instance, hybrid seeds are processing tomatoes. You know, if you have followed my timeline, sometimes you hear me saying not every tomato can be processed. Hybrid seed, maybe if you go to the market, even the northern tomatoes, the one that the northerners are producing, are not processing tomatoes. If you take those tomatoes, you notice that the flesh are extremely soft. The flesh of those tomatoes are extremely soft. So that soft flesh, it means inside it has plenty water. So if processors want to use it to process, they will not have much of the concentrate out of it. They will have plenty water to squeeze away. I don't know if I'm explaining that, as in it is watery. So cannot be, it's watery. So because it's watery, it cannot be processed. But if your hybrid have thicker flesh, they have thick flesh. Hybrid have thick flesh. So, and they are processing tomatoes. So that's why most times when rural farmers, like in my community now, I told you they're selling tomato 300 naira. Even if you cite a mini processor here, you can't process the type of tomatoes they currently have in bulk. Most, especially the farmers in the Southwest, none of them, not even only in the Southwest, none of the farmers is processing tomatoes. That's one of the challenges Dangote and all these companies have to. Now, the hybrid is a processing tomatoes. And so they are thick. They are the type of vegetable tomatoes that you harvest and you can eat them raw. They are very good. And, you know, so they are thick flesh, as in even the weight. You can hold 3 of them can give you like 3 and 1 kg. 3-4 of the tomatoes can give you 1 kg. Some of the hybrid tomatoes. You can't do that with the local one, the open pollinated that are not that are light flesh. Now, in the hybrid, there's little water content. There's high yield per harvest. Like on an acre of tomatoes, if you are harvesting, I always go low for my calculations. At least minimum, you should get 10-20 tons. But for people that really know how to do it very well, they will get 50-60 tons of tomatoes. But like I tell people, I don't like to call those big figures. I like you to the first important thing you need to do is to know how to do it right. As in, okay, if I'm going to do just half plots and I know how to maintain that half plot, that my yield is much. Okay, I train my boys on the farm today. I'm going to use cucumber as a sample. I train my boys on the farm that when we plant cucumber, already on a 10 bed is when you take one of that acre and you divide into 8 places. So 10 beds is 1/8 of an acre. So it's like, okay. Okay, sorry guys, our network. Okay, so please, are you with me here? Okay, so Okay, so now I thought they give you high yield per harvest for the hybrid, but like I said, you need to perfect a little space first before you go to a bigger space. You see, I remember when I started planting tomatoes, that was 2014 or 15. A friend of mine has come. She went for a one-day training, you know, all this one-day training. She went to attend this one-day training, and when she came back from the one-day training, she said, she said, if you plant tomatoes, they said we harvest 1,000 baskets, you know, that Hausa basket, that 50 kg basket, that they said we harvest 1,000 baskets from 1 hectare, and that we can sell one of the basket for 15,000 naira. You know, it's packed. I calculated 15,000 multiplied by 1,000 basket. That's 15 million. We run to farm. Now, in our foolishness, none of us has planted tomato before. None of us has done anything before. I asked her, she said she has planted before. Me, I've never planted, but we started a large farm. We paid for, actually, I told her we should do 1 hectare together. She said, no, we'll do 1 hectare together first, and then she will do 1 hectare on her own separate. I said, fine. You know, so in combination, we were doing 2 hectares of tomato farm because we're greedy, because we're calculating from that 2 hectares will be 30 million. My own ask will be 15 million plus 7.5. Mine will be 7.5 million. You know, so because what people only hear is the calculation, the yield, but what about the work involved? If you don't know the work, please don't do the light bed. Do a small space. Even when you do the small space, don't immediately expand. No, gradually expand. If you do 1 plot now or half plot, next time double it to 2 plots. From 2, you can go 4 or 6. With that, you'll be gradually becoming an expert. Not from 1 plot, you move to 5 acres. No, it won't work because you find out the stress is multiple. Okay, so now I told you the yield is good, but honestly, I don't like calculating the yield and yield. I want you to first understand the work involved first. See, once we understand the work involved, it becomes so simple. It becomes profitable. But if you don't understand the work and you have a big farms and you're not making anything, but you still keep spending, you keep your farm manager, you keep farm workers, you buy, you know, it's not really motivating. So I like to say, okay, try it on a plot. If the plot succeeded, see, you know, okay, you want to make the money for this year. It's not compulsory you make the money for this year. What if you make small money from the small space you did this year, and the coming year you're able to increase? There are still years to come. So you can gradually do that instead of running into debt. I've been there before, so I can know what I explained. From the 5 acres, me and my friend, 2 hectares that we didn't harvest anything. All the baskets of tomatoes we harvest, I'm not sure they're up to 10 baskets. And you can imagine what we'll have spent. We collected these local foreign boys for laborers. We have 3. You understand? So please, it's good we are sharing it, because I wish I've had somebody to share the experience with me at a token like this. It will have saved me a lot of headaches. Now, longer shelf life. The hybrid has longer shelf life compared to open pollinated. As in, like I said, if you harvest them and keep them down, they stay 3-4 weeks without refrigeration. It'll be fine. Then expensive to maintain. I don't want to just be telling you the good thing, and I won't mention the bad thing. They are expensive to maintain. One, starting from the seed are quite expensive. The irrigation, you can't plant hybrid. I want to advise you to plant hybrid without irrigation system. It's not advisable. It's like you want to use it's like you buy a car and then you start filling it with inferior engine oil. You know, you can knock the engine, you can do a lot of things. So you won't save costs by doing that. So you need to consider your irrigation with tomatoes, especially when you are using hybrid. If you are not using hybrid, you can plant it anyhow, of course. Now, so they are expensive to maintain. Water, they need water, we still talk about those things, but I'm just saying here. Now, the second classification of tomato is open pollinated seed. Open pollinated seeds have, like we've been discussing, high water content. The average yield, I won't say they have the lowest yield. No, they don't have the lowest yield. They don't have the lowest yield, but average yield. Sometimes they could be good, but they can never be as productive as the hybrid. Then the difference again between these two, if you buy hybrid seed and you plant it, if you extract the seed, if you take the tomatoes and you extract the seed and replant, most cases hybrid seed will not give you the exact size you got in the first instance. In some cases, it might not even germinate. In some cases, it might not even fruit. So you are doing trial and error in that case, because remember, they were combined in the lab. Combination is that they take the genes of one plant and add it to another genes of one plant. So you cannot get the exact size back again. But if you plant open pollinated and you repeat it again, you still keep getting the same size, but you know it's average size. So I don't say that they are the best for somebody that, like the farmers there, all the rural farmers, all the tomatoes they are planting, like I said, they don't buy seed. It's extractions, they keep repeating. As they are selling the seed now, the ones that want to plant tomato, they will go and buy from them and then replant it. That's how they do it. Now, so and short shelf life, then it has low maintenance planting, as in you won't spend much on you are not buying seed. They are rugged. They are rugged than the hybrid. Very rugged than the hybrid, because they've been acclimatized, they're used to this climate. They are rugged than the hybrid. It's just that the yield is lower than the hybrid. So we move there. So so the next class, you know, when I was discussing that one, I said classification of tomato. I tried to find a name for this, I couldn't find, but I just felt I need to inform you about it. They are seasonal seed selection, as Nigeria is. We have different geopolitical geozone. I don't know. I can't remember what I'll call it again. Like, okay, for instance, the north has extreme hot weather and tropical. There are some zones that are tropical. Places like part of Ogun State and Osun State, they are temperate region. They are not temperate. They are savanna. Places like Jos are temperate, very cool area. So we have different areas like that. So what now? Imagine the whole of Nigeria, we don't have breeders. Breeders are people, plant breeders. And funny enough, we have the course in the university, but we don't have people that really produce it. So because of that, the seeds we're using, they are bred, as in produced for another country that they think is similar to our climate. So if they produce it for them and that they think is similar to our climate, it means they are not exactly our climatic whatever, because it's not bred in our country. So these seeds, also some people, they separate it again. They are seeds that will survive in rainy season. They are seeds that will survive in dry season. They are seeds that don't want water at all, tomato seed. They are tomatoes, you know, no. So when you are planting, you need to consider that. And that's why, remember, I told you, the nuts are using the seeds that doesn't want water. As in water, it's not that it needs water to grow, but tomato seed leaves, their leaves, the leaves of tomato seed did not want water to touch them. The more water touch them, they start developing disease. So that is why in the north, they only plant tomatoes that survive in dry season, as in the tomatoes that does not. So when they are wetting, do you know they are wetting? Then they wet in the afternoon, in the hot sun, so that if they are using sprinkler and they wet, the sun is hot, it will dry it up fast from the leaf, so it will not be diseased. If they use flooding, it will not, you know. So the north are using tomato seeds that they are using in the north is for their temperate zone and for the tropical zone, hot climate zone, and that's why they could continue using it. The challenge we have in the south is that since we've not been planting these things before, so it's just now we're just coming out gradually. Okay, we should plant more, we should plant more, and because it's just gradually, we've not really found the exact seed that will suit our temperature, our regions, and so it's a bit difficult. That's why most people have challenges with tomatoes. Now, the only some of the organizations that I know did some little work is East West. What East West did was they came to Nigeria and they went through different regions to go and do demonstration with different tomato seed. So they were able to, like now, if you call some East West suppliers or they are whatever, I'm one of their distributors, but I don't sell seed because people call too much and I have a lot on my neck. So if you call some of their distributors, they will ask you which area do you want to plant it. Like I know Padma is rainy season tomato. why I can't remember the third, this one now, is for plantinum, is for dry season tomato. If you plant Padma in dry season, it will start cracking. So there are things some people develop like, but like I told you, most of these things are not developed for Nigeria. So we're just using trial and error to use them. So I hope you understand it so that when you are planting, so you know, okay, it's not every tomato you can plant immediately. Now, going to tomato cultivation. What I did was to briefly explain the points you need to understand, the market. Now, I was taught, see, before you plant anything, not only tomato, you need to be sure of the markets. And market is, in Lagos alone, there are over 200 markets. I research it is online. You know, I always look for so many things. In Lagos alone, there are over 200 markets. So naturally, somebody will say, there are plenty markets now. Imagine 200 markets in Lagos. I'll go and be selling my tomatoes there. It doesn't work that way. When we say market, what you calculate before is that market you are going to, those people in the market, they already have whom they are buying from. They even already have somebody that is selling for them on credit. So you are just coming and say, come and buy, come and buy. What incentive are you giving them? What are you doing better than those that have been supplying them and all these things? So market is a lot of challenge. And before you plant anything, before you put anything into the soil, you should first do intensive research on market. And that's why you see me shouting cluster, cluster, cluster. I'm not doing tomato cluster. I will explain why. The challenges of moving and transporting tomato will be numerous. Like, okay, I will still get there. Let me not discuss it yet. I know I have somebody, nicer or whatever. I was in Lagos for that about 2 months or 3 months ago. I didn't bother about it because then I was not doing all these classes, but it occurs to me now, this is something some people can benefit from if they can work it out. Personally, why I did not develop the tomato clusters now, there's the federal government release, they're releasing loans or grants or whatever, I don't know. People people have access to it. I know a director somewhere that said, okay, this is what they want to do. I should coordinate my place so that they can, if the farmers can produce, they will come there, build somewhere there a mini processing so that they can now, the paste they produce there, they can now supply to the big ones that are converting into sachets that are not getting paste in Nigeria. I learned Nigeria, I think over, is it 160 billion or million that we used to import tomato paste? That should be about 3 or 4 years ago. So now you wonder it has increased. So, but we'll discuss it at the end of the class when we allow, but like I told you, I'm not bringing out a tomato cluster, but here I'm just telling you, okay, this is what you can do. This is how you can target the peak period. And this is what you need to do to get your tomato growing very well. So we're going to tomato class proper somehow now. Okay, so I will still want us to. So now, the first thing to do when you are cultivating tomato is your nursery bed. Nursery bed is extremely, extremely important. Now, how do you prepare nursery bed? You raise the bed. You raise the bed. Look at it there. You see, these are some of my trainees there. What we do here, you can see where they are standing. That's the fruit part. The place they are using their hands or this place they are touching is the bed. What we do, you see them holding baskets. What we use those baskets to do is to sieve the soil. Now, let me give you something. Some people will say, my soil is not good. Every soil can be converted for production. How do you do that? When you get to a place, because it's tomatoes are very delicate, and they are very delicate and they need to be taken care of. And imagine you are buying an expensive seed, because when you know hybrid will give you better yield, you won't go for open pollinated that is cheaper. You want to go for the hybrid because the hybrid gives you better yield. So if you are going for the hybrid that gives you better yield, so you are spending money. So you wouldn't want to waste the seed. For me personally, 5 grams of tomato, I calculate you should have 1,000 seeds. 1,000 means if I nurse it and put it in the nursery, I'm calculating I should be able to get, even if I don't get my 1,000 seedlings complete, I should get 800 seedlings. You know, that's 80%. You know, so those are little things you need to, and that's why we need to take care of them. So in the nursery here, you raise the bed. As in, raising bed means you raise the soil. I want to create something. I want to create a diagrammatical something of raised bed. A lot of people have been asking me, how did I construct my raised bed? When I keep telling about it, I think I will do. I can see how to design, just a design of raised bed so that people, the measurements and everything, so that people can understand it. So you raise the bed up, as in, you don't see, if you plant anything, not only tomato, anything at all, if you plant anything at all on the soil, just ordinary soil. Imagine we've been walking on the soil, moving around and going in and coming out. And as we are moving on the soil, you are moving around, you find out that, okay, since I'm moving on this place, you now say, okay, I want to plant something there. And you did not till the soil. You know, whatever you are planting will not germinate. So the best thing for you to do is to till the soil. But we don't just till the soil. We scoop the soil together and make it raise. That's what you can see here. You can see where they are standing is lower ground, while this place is high. So another thing why we do that is that so that we don't step on it. The more you step on it, you are destroying the structure of the bed you want to use, and it may affect your yield. So we don't step on the raised bed. So you see, now what we mix together here is we take sawdust, we take a little manure, and we take a little ashes, and then we sieve them to remove stones, big stones, to remove particles, to remove other things, and mix it with the soil. What other people do is they use seed tray, but I think I explained somewhere, seed tray, when you use them, it reduces the germination for those plants. It doesn't allow them to grow very fast. It limits their growing for seed tray. So now, please, you can be keeping your questions. You can keep them, write them, so that when we stop, we answer the question and we discuss. We might even. So that is the raised bed now. Then after making the raised bed, there's something we call linear. We make a linear, a line on the raised bed to create. You can see this bed here. You see these lines there. The lines there are, this is where inside these lines, we're going to put the seeds. That's where the seeds is going to stay. I think the seeds are even already there. You see, you put the seed there and then gently cover it up. Now, if you are covering the seed, you don't just take a whole bunch of soil and put on the seeds. No. You just take tiny, tiny soil, because when you put too much soil on the seeds, it struggles for first day, second day, third day, it just goes to die, because the soil you put on it is too much. And that's where you are losing your seeds. Imagine, I told you we bought 1,000 seeds. Imagine losing 200 to have 800. It's even still much. So these are little things you guide against, so that you don't lose too much seed even from the beginning. So and this is where you put it. One must not stay on top of each other. If they are standing on top of each other, it means if they are standing on top of each other, some might not develop, some might not go. So you put them in such a way that they will not stand upon each other there. So that is how you prepare the nursery. So now from the nursery, while you prepare the nursery, you put the seeds there and you leave it. Then you will now go and find a way to make raised beds. Like I said, when you make raised beds, it's on those beds that you will transfer your nursery. In the nursery now, you have to wet morning and evening. Morning, evening, for like a week. By the 5th day, your tomato seeds will be out. By the 5th day. By the 7th day, if you are not seeing the tomato seeds outside, then something is wrong. Yes, by 4th, 5th day, they should be out. By the 7th day, if you are not seeing them outside, then there's a problem. There's a big problem. That means it's either one. See, when I have challenge with seeds, or my seed is not germinating everything, I try to give it, okay, what could be happening, what is possible. If you buy seed, and the method by which they send the seed to you, or by the method where you keep your seed, for instance, some people will buy seed, they put it in their car boots, or they will put it somewhere. If you expose the seed to sun, it might not germinate. If you have seed and it gets exposed to sun, too much sun, it will not be viable again. So when you plant it, it may not germinate. If your seed is open, as in you open it down for a very long time, when you get a seed, if you are not using it, leave it like that, leave it closed or locked like that. The moment you open it or you scatter it or whatever, and then breeze start entering into it, the seed is not germinating again. So those are the things you really, really need to factor in. You consider them, because before you said, okay, it's the seed seller, and then actually sometimes some seeds might not be good. So, and then when you are buying seeds, look at the expiry date. You need to check the expiry date to know that your seed is good. Now we move to creating the raised bed. Like I said, I don't know. I will see how I can design a graphical raised bed. See, this is an example of the raised bed. Just like the way the nursery bed was like that, they have a footpath. See, you can see the plants on the bed. Like on my farm, this is where, if you are using my method, you can see the drip tapes. 1, 2, 3, 4. On my raised bed, I use 4 tapes. Now, each of these tapes, from this point to this point of the plant, is 30 centimeters. From this point to the second line, to the other line, from one row to the other row, I give it 30 centimeters. So I do 30, 30, 30 all around. You understand what I mean? Now, if you are doing this, if you are using the same measurement I normally use, I use my measurement at 25-meter length. It means this your 30 centimeter drip tapes hole. We have on a bed, we have like 83 plants. And on a line, this one row like this one row, straight off, you'll be having 83, 82 lines. So imagine 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't normally use 80, I will say 80. So if you multiply 80 by 4, so you are going to be having 320 plants on this just one bed. Now, I don't use 320 again. So you know why I'm always reducing this thing? You lose it. We lose a lot of things on the farm. Some plants might not germinate. 1. Some plants might germinate and not grow beyond that stage. Some plants might die when you are transplanting them from the bed to the nursery, from the nursery to the main bed. Some plants, so I usually calculate and reduce and reduce and reduce. But if the little one that remains perform well, you will not feel those ones you've lost. You will not, you will not miss those ones that you've lost. You will not, honestly, you will be happy with this one. So that's why I always reduce and reduce and reduce, and it looks somehow. So this bed now, you can see every time. See, except if I'm using pictures that is not from my farm, I always inform you. So every pictures I use are something from my farm. So if I'm using anything outside, I will tell you, okay, this is not my picture, because it's not actually good to do that. So you see, so these are the footpath. See another plant, see another footpath. So it makes the essence of why I adopted raised bed. 1, it increased the population. Imagine on an acre, you are having 300 and you are on a bed, you're having 300. Meanwhile, if you do that demarcation on an acre, you're having 80 beds. So 300 times 80, that's 24,000 plants. See, if not anything, if 24,000 plants, that's 1 acre of your tomato, can produce, even if it is 1 kg for you. 1 kg is too much. What am I saying? Is it 1 kg is even too much. If they can produce, maybe you understand, you know what that means. 1 kg is much for me. They can produce 400 grams or 500 gram fruits. Now, but before they produce, you see the raised bed, like I said, the manure there must be top notch. As in, you add plenty manure. With water, your water must be regular. I'm sorry to say this, because that, I told you then, the time me and my friend went for 2 hectares, that's 5 acres, when we were calculating our 30 million. We did not, see, anywhere you want to make 30 million, you should be able to spend at least 2, 3, 4 million there. But we didn't stake. I will be showing you staking. No, not tomato staking, but I will show you how we did staking. We didn't stake. We didn't do, we didn't even use drip tapes. Then I don't even know. It's even funny. No drip tapes. And then it was scattered planting, not this kind of raised bed. I'm sure on our 1 acre then, that 5, you see, let's do one calculation. Normal, if you do tractor plowed, the way farmers transplant their tomatoes, if you didn't supervise to get this result, you'll be having like 5,000 or 6,000 plants on 1 acre. It means this our 24,000 on 1 acre is what we will plant on 5 acres of farmer zone. Meanwhile, even let's say I use 1 acre, a farmer use 5 acre. It means you that use 5 acre, you are working within 5 acre. And I that use 1 acre that I maximize, I will still have the same yield as you. Can compare 5 to 1. Ratio 5 to 1. It means while he's working there, he'll be using labor for 5 acre, everything for 5 acre, and yet he will still have the same yield as I that have 1 acre. So that is where small is profitable come in. The management must be top notch. So that if the management is good, your manure, your water, pest control, and everything, honestly, you will have you don't need plenty land. You don't need plenty land. Okay, so now another support you can give your plant. I'm going to show a picture here. See this picture? We've not planted here. The first thing we did is, you can see the footpath again. The first thing we did is we raised the bed. We did our bed creation. You can see, you can start 1, 2. That's how we make our bed. Actually, I partition my farm into row. One row will be like 50 beds, so that we can follow it up. So you see, this is one bed there. Now you see the punch holes. You see, this is mulching film. Now, after making the bed, we put drip tapes. Under this mulching film, there are drip tapes. If you are using mulching film, please note, you know rain fed. Now we cover this with nylon. How will rain enter? Except there is rain that really swell up to get to the top here, which is hard nowadays. So if you are using mulching film, plastic mulch to control weed, then you must use drip tapes. You must use drip tapes. It's a must, because how do you get water into your plant here? So you must, the first thing, you make the beds, and then you put the drip tapes under and you cover with this mulch. But believe me, if you do that, it increases the yield, because one, look at this place. It's only the spot where the water will be dropping, where the plant will come out. This is where we're going to be planting the plant. It's only that spot that is exposed. Every other spot is covered, which means grasses cannot grow underneath it. Weed cannot come out from it. So if weed cannot, you understand? If weed cannot come out from it, it means it increase the quantity, your yield. Like I've explained so many, weed, this is what weed does to your plant, especially tomato plant, not even does to your plant. Once you plant something and the weed is coming out, you can see all the farms I've been showing you, you see how neat they are. If you plant something and weed is coming out with it, that weed, you don't need it. They are disturbing you. And this is the disadvantage they will give you. One, they will compete with water with your plant. It's the same water you are giving your plant, the weed will be feeding on. They will compete with nutrients in the soil with your plant. They will compete with space. That space, they will compete. Then, and when they are competing with, they will not allow your plant to sit down and establish very well, because they are by the side pushing, go away now, leave my space. You know, that kind of thing. So they will compete with space. They will compete with sunlight. They will compete with virtually everything. And the nutrients that is supposed to be added to your plant and make it fruit and produce very well, that is what the yield is using to grow. So if you can afford and you use mulching film, or like I said, if we can have a group to buy the original one together, I'll tell you why. These ones, I have them plenty on the farm, but like I said, I'm not using it right now. Once you use it once, they are too extremely soft. So when you use it once, the possibility is that the second time they will be, they are not really, like, unlike the thick one that they are using outside there, that when you use those thick ones, you can work on it. That's why if you see most farms, this is how they do their farm. Even this footpath, they cover with mulch. So you work on the mulch and it can last for 10 years, 15 years. So there's a thicker type of mulch. Like I said, people bringing it in, possibly because they are not farmers. So they don't understand we need quality for us to maximize. Because if you buy a mulch this year and it can last for 10 years, it means you have covered for the next 10 years, which is good. But within 5 years, you will have recovered, even more than recovered, to be able to replace or buy another one. Or like now that these ones are getting spoiled. Now, staking. You can see this staking. The hybrid tomatoes, they have plenty fruits. And because they have plenty fruit, these hybrid tomatoes, when they are coming up, If the fruit is heavy, it will pull down the plant. Now, notice something. For rural farmers, the way we grow up where they plant tomato, they don't stake it. When they don't stake their tomato, at one stage, the fruit pull down the plant. Go and look at the place where the plant bend down. It will not break, it will not die, but it will have breached somehow, bent and cut somehow. It will not die, but do you know what happened? The root, the fruit on top, it's taking nutrients through the roots. So it has to pass through that spot where it's bent down. And because it has bent, some of those parts that bend will not be able to tap water, to siphon water from the soil to the fruit that you have. And so already, instead of you to harvest like 10 times, it's reducing, because once you harvest the first fruit, your tomato hybrid especially is supposed to still be flowering and producing more fruit for you. But once it's bended, you didn't support it with stick. Now, why do we support it? When those plants are planted there and all these sticks, they will use rope and tie it to the stick, so that instead of the stem bending, it will be resting on those sticks, and the fruit will not be resting alone on the plant. So when you do that, it means you are increasing your yield from that farm. You are increasing your productivity from that farm. Unlike when they bend, that place where it's bended is already reducing the quality of water. And don't forget, the feed, what the tomato is feeding on, is from the quality, is from the soil. The nutrient is coming from the soil. And it's from the soil the nutrients move to go and meet to produce fruits. So if it cannot move, it has reduced, it has bended. So instead of 10 harvests, you might harvest 2 times and there'll be no tomato again. The same thing happened with irrigation. If you plant tomatoes and you did not put irrigation, it will fruit. But maybe you harvest once and then the tomato will not fruit. It happens to me last year. We planted a tomato that was doing very fine, but we did not put irrigation. We planted by this time and we were hoping rain will extend. Unfortunately, rain did not extend and we didn't bother. We could only harvest once instead of 5 or 6 times. It was really painful. So this year, we're not taking that chance again. Like everyone we transplant now are fully irrigated. So I'm just saying, once you understand these things, you know how it works. So your tomato must not bend. It has to be straight. And because it's carrying heavy, the fruits sometimes, they are heavier than the stem. So they tend to push it to the weight we push it. You won't allow it. So you tie it, and that's where the staking come in. And then if they are even bending sometimes, so most of the farmers, when their tomato is on the floor, it starts decaying because it's touching the floor. And ants, they can easily have access to it. So you must not allow it to touch the floor. Okay, so now on irrigation, I want to show you, see how irrigation works. This is a plant. You see, there's a point here, we call it the dripper. At this point here, this place, it drips, the water drops one by one. Now, there's something about irrigation, let me tell you. I got to farm one day during the drought season. I got to farm and I saw my boys were using hand to wet onions because we have some onions on the farm. So when he was using hand to wet, why are you wetting with hand? He said, it's faster. I said, no, it's not about being fast. It's about, is it getting inside? Is it getting down? Let me explain this thing, the cursor you're looking at. This is the plant. The water is dripping somewhere here. As the water drips, this space, it will keep expanding and forming a cycle. You know, it will be expanding like this. You can see this to be expanding. As it's expanding, the distance from the plant to this expansion is the same distance from the plant down into the roots. So if this expansion did not really form very well, it will keep increasing till it touches the next plant, as in the water dropping. So if it did not touch each other, and as it's touching like that, it means it's going deep, it's going inside. That's the way water moves. So as it's moving like that, it's to get to the roots. But if you don't give it, if you do hand wetting, you just pour the water, it will spread fast on the surface, but is not getting to the root of the plant. So hand wetting is not advisable, except if you are going to wet more, still, you know, as in allow it to gradually sink in, or you dig a hole and start filling so that, you know, but You know, so that is the way it works. So now that's how drip irrigation works. That's how it works. So now, before we move, I said we'll stop a bit. I will discuss this. Now, tomato yield per harvest. When we talk of tomato yield per harvest, like I said it briefly in one of my talks. I said in tomato, most people write even 80 tons. I remember when Dangote is still struggling, because it's still struggling now. When Dangote then brought a tomato to Nigeria, and they said the tomato will yield 100 tons per this time hectare, which would be like 30 tons or 40 tons per acre. People were calling me. I say, yes, it's possible. It's possible, but it requires a lot of work. How many of us can do the work? Let me give you this. If you are planting tomato, just like everything we've mentioned there must be no weed. Water must be regular. Then we must do, now there's something I skipped, I should explain to you. They call it pruning. If you plant tomato and the plant is coming up, if you want to have all size, you want all the size of the tomatoes to be the same, then you prune, as in you reduce part of where it's supposed to bring fruits, you cut them off. So I told you it's taking nutrients from the roots and going up. So the lower part where it's supposed to bring fruit, you cut them off. So as the root is bringing those water up, it has nowhere to branch to. It's not supplying anything on the road. It's going straight up, and your fruit will be uniform. If your plant is one plant and it's bringing out 10 fruit, it will be uniform, the same size. Unlike when it's bringing out 30 fruit, it's sharing with so many branches. So we reduce the branches. It's called pruning. We reduce some of the tomato branches so that it concentrates on one. That is good and recommended if you are supplying companies, stores, and shops that are displaying on their shelf, because the bigger it is, the better for them. Okay. The bigger it is, the better for them. Now, the maturity days, like I told you, 75 to 90 days. There's, there's 75 to 90 days. There's 80 days. There's 100 days maturity for tomatoes. Then tomato leaves hate water. We'll go back to the north again. That's why the northern farmers, they don't plant in rainy season. Even here in Southwest, if we plant and there's too much water, the tomato will first start having one black spot like that, and then they will eventually die. So the leaves of tomato don't like water. They don't like you sprinkling water. So drip tapes is recommended for tomato. So you see, drip irrigation is best for tomato. But it's just that it's quite expensive. For instance, I've not bought drip tape this year. When you have on your farm, you keep reusing and reusing. Though I want to expand. It's sure that this dry season we have to buy some because we're planning to expand. So it happens that if we want to buy drip tapes now, 1,000 meter. Now, good. Let me use this. This is irrigation intensive. I'm just look at this bed. Here we say we are using 1, 2, 3, 4. On a bed on a 25-meter bed, you are using 25-meter drip tape length. Sure, you know. No, if your length is 25 meter, you're using 25 meter. If your length is 30 meter, then you use drip tapes of 30 meter to cover the bed. So now on this bed, one of our bed, we are using 25 meter here, 25, that's 50, plus another 25, that's 75, plus another 25, that's 100 meter length. So for every one raised bed that you are creating, you're having 100 meter length. So it means if you are going 1 acre, that is 80 beds, you need 8,000 meter length of drip tapes, which is not easy to come by. Because as of the last time I bought, I think we were buying 2,000 meter for like 8,000. Yes, 2,000 meter for like 8,000. So it is not You can, okay, if 2,000 meter is 8,000, which I'm not sure of the current price, I won't lie to you, I've not bought in a long time. So if 2,000 meter is 8,000, that 2,000 meter, we only do 20 beds. And that 20 beds is quarter of an acre. Yes, quarter of an acre. So an acre, we use 8,000 meter. Now that is outside buying the accessories and every other thing that you need to cope with it. So that's why I see take it one by one and start small. Like my advice for somebody, even if you are financially buoyant, start with 20 beds, even 10, but 20 if you are so eager, 20 is fine. So that's the, you know, so you really need to understand all these basics before your tomato. Now, okay, so I've discussed drip irrigation is best for tomato. So you need 8,000 meter for an acre. If you are using this system, most people outside just lay tapes and everything. And when they do that, it means when they just lay tapes and everything, it means they're not even calculating the yield, or they know the yield. You know the funny thing, everybody knows the yield per acre, but it is the work. Okay, it's like you have a car and the car is standing right here. If you don't fuel the car, it can't move from point A to point B. That's exactly the way it is. If you don't do the work of the tomatoes, if you don't put in the effort, you cannot plant seed and harvest 20 tons. You need to put in the work, manuring, regular water. Because some people will have drip tapes and they say, I give it water now. No, you don't manage anything. You can't afford to manage anything. So if you can't, okay, I was telling my students on farm today, we were just, okay, the tomatoes we planted, one of my farm hands was telling me that the tomatoes are good. I told him with the experience we've had so far this year, I'm not looking eager to any harvest, because I know how much I've spent and we spend, and the climate, weather, you know, initially we did not bother about it until now that we know we have to fully be prepared for it. Like now, instead of the water we give, we triple the quantity of water we are giving our plants now, especially when there's no rain. We triple the quantity. So I now told him, I said, look, I'm not so enthusiastic about the yield like it used to be before, because the challenge we've had in January, February, and we're not getting much results because they are getting spoiled. They will just start drying up. So he was hopeful. But to be candid, on 1 acre, if we plant 1 acre, which is 80 beds, every week for the next every 5 days, at least for 8 times or even more, we should be going out with a bus load. Now, a bus load of tomatoes, I'm using our local calculation. Me, I'm not calculating tons, you know. So a bus load of tomatoes is that, not that house, you know, that middle basket. If you are used to my 12 market, there's one basket they call Ghana basket. Now, let me describe it again for you. The Asa basket is 50 kg, 60, 70 kg. So that Ghana basket is like 35 kg, sometimes 30, because that's the one I use most, because it's easy to arrange. If I'm not using plastic crates, I prefer to use the Ghana basket because it's easy to arrange inside vehicle, inside a bus, than the outside big one. You know, the northerners, they are big one, they put it in trailers. We don't have trailers there. We move with bus. So it's that Ghana basket. It's smaller to that one, it's like 35 kg or 30 kg. I told you the price, the size varies. I've measured it severally. It can never be the same. So that one, that bus, a full 18-seater bus will take like 70, 80 of it, depending on how we arrange it. And if you have 1 acre, you should be able to go with like this 5, 6, or 7 of it to the market. And if you meet a good market, all my calculations there are just these calculations I'm giving you work. It's something I've done and whatever, but it's difficult for me. It's guesswork for me to convert it to tons. I'm being frantic with you as a rural farmer now. As in, I want the 20 tons, whatever, is not something we sit down and start weighing. No, but our own calculation. Okay, if I have a bus full, I'm going to have that Ghana basket. But like I told you, if I have 10 of the Ghana basket, there's no guarantee for you that it will be the same size. As in, I may have some 30 kg, I may have some 35 kg, I may have some, 33, 32. So, but if we are going to the market there, the 18-seater bus, we take like 80, 70 something of it. So if it takes 70, 80 of it, and we meet good market in the market, we'll sell that basket nothing less than 10,000. You understand? And from your 1 acre, at least you should be able to get 5 buses or 4, even more. But like I told you, I like to bring down expectations. I don't there are sometimes, to be candid, there's sometimes when we go to the market like that, you will think we've done money ritual. Because when the tomatoes come, we have to call plenty people, and you have to harvest every 4 days or 5 days, every 5 days. As in, if you harvest on Monday, you have to harvest again on Friday. You will not, that Friday, you harvest again on Tuesday. That Tuesday, it means return to Saturday every 5 days. Because if you don't, some will, especially if it's in dry season you're harvesting, the sun hastening the ripening up again too. And once it's ripening, naturally ripening like that, it starts busting on the farm. So in this case, now, I'm not calculating the book 30 tons, 20 tons, whatever. No. So I'm just telling you the reality of it. But like I said, this year alone, I know how many tomato seeds I've used, and we did not harvest anything. I'm very realistic. But that still did not stop us. As I'm speaking with you, we already have about 1.5, we already have about 100 or 120 raised beds of tomatoes on the farm. But like, I was telling the guy, I know I'm not calculating until when we go to the market and come back. So I'm just telling you. So see, once you have your mind, so that you won't put, I don't advise you to put all your investment, all your effort, but that's why it's good. Do it gradually in batch. Okay, batch A, batch B, batch C. So that see what we're doing now. We've done the first batch, second batch, and even third batch. I did not do well. This is the 4th batch this year. Now imagine, and like I told you, I don't do more than 1 acre, 1.5 acre of tomatoes at a time. I don't even do as much as that, except when we are targeting. Normally I do only 20, 40 beds. But because I told you there are peak period we target, so we increase whenever we are targeting such peak period. So it's because of a peak period. That's why we went as high as 1.5 acre, as in 120 or 100 beds, over 100 beds. It's because of the peak we target. If I'm not targeting peak, I don't do more than 40 beds per month. But because of, we've lost a lot this year, let's target the high peak. I'm being sincere with you. So if that peak comes out and we go with boss, I know we'll make it. Even all the ones that we've been shouting about, we'll recover it back. So, but if you are coming for the first time and you jumped in and you lose that kind of effort in the first time, you'll be discouraged. And that is where most people get it wrong. And that's why I said it's good to learn from somebody that has been there. And then it's good when you meet somebody that is being truthful. See, a lot of people, when they do this kind of training, they will not tell you, I've not made anything from tomato this year. Candidate, as of last week, we harvested sweet corn to ShopRite, and I know we make money. But it is not, and like in my own type of system, as I'm speaking with you now, we have tomato on one side. We have cabbage on one side. We have onions on one side. We have, like the least things we see on my farm is called integrated farming. The least things you will see on the least number of crops is 5, 6, 7 crops. As in, I may do 20 beds of cabbage. I will do 10 beds of okra. You understand? They are all fully irrigated. Like why we lost so much was we were banking, normally by May, rain will have come. So if we do irrigation from November to March, we normally stop using water from April till this time, till August, because it's rain-fed. So we also plant just like the way the farmer plants. And then by November, we start irrigation again. But unfortunately this year, we also plant with the intention that rain will come and take it up. But rain did not come. And just like the farmers are shouting they lost, we also lost some of our vegetables. But I quickly got back, guys, we should get back to irrigation back. So we resumed irrigation early this year than other years. We're not supposed to have started irrigation. I'm sorry, it might not be tomato, but I need to let you guys understand the way the farms work. So like I'm speaking with you now, I have onions, I have this. So if this one is not going, this one will go. If this one is not going, this one will go. I have pepper. Even the chili pepper we guys are planting, like my boss, by tomorrow we should be transplanting about 20 beds of pepper. Then what I do is, now that we have some things on the nursery, is until when we finish moving everything to the raised beds where there's irrigation tapes, we move them and we know they already have water, they've established. Established means, see, when you transplant something, it doesn't mean it has stayed, it has survived. No. You still watch it for like a week, 2 weeks to make sure it's establishing. Mean by the time you check it, it will have changed structure. With in Yoruba we say Otijoko, has sat down, it's relaxing now. Like today when I got to the farm, I was telling Ele Otijoko, as in this one is not yet fully established. Because when you move, it's like you move maybe you are staying somewhere and now you want your child to go and stay with somebody. It's like you are changing environment. That's the way when we move something from the nursery to the main farm, we're changing environment. So because we're moving from one environment to the other, it will affect the plants. So until I see them really establishing as in relax, and they now start forming new leaves. When you transplant, they start forming new leaves because you've disrupted them. And there's something we call transplanting shock, the moment where you disrupt their movement. So until when they get back to the new space, you support them with enough water. And if you are lucky, there's not too much sun for like 2 days, they quickly establish. And that's why most times when we want to transplant, we transplant at night. Or only when the weather is cool, you transplant in the day. If you transplant in those hot weather, even as we are putting it down, it will be doing like this. It will be bending and lying down, which is not good. So we try, like most times on the farm. I remember one of my students was saying, why would we be transplant? I said, look, except you want to sleep on the farm, me, I'm not sleeping. The boys sleep on the farm, as in the farm workers, they sleep on the farm. So they work at night. They were even asking me to buy torchlights. I'm just remembering now. So they work at night. Though there's solar with them, but they work at night. You know, it can't reach all the farm side. Sometimes before you get there in the morning, early morning, they will have transplanted. So most of the time, transplanting is done at night or early in the morning. That they will have established a bit, preferably evening, because if you transplant early in the morning and some hot sun came, they will still affect your plant. Okay, and the break is not coming until I'm nearly finishing. Sorry, it's good. I think we have peace this afternoon. There was no much distraction. Okay, so these are our, I think, okay, now we're getting to the tomato processing cluster. Should we, okay, let's just finish it. I think I have just maybe 3 or 4 slides so that we'll finish it and we can now discuss generally. Okay, so now the tomato processing cluster, I think I've mentioned it a bit around there. This is what happened. There's a, I'll call him senior, it's not my colleague, it's a big daddy. He has been in production. He produced cocoa tea has been producing before I even know what is farming. So he sent for me, he called me about 2-3 months ago. Actually, he invited me to Lagos and I went. And they said, because I know when he invites me, I know his business, as in production, farming and all this stuff, because he knows that's what I do. So he asked me to, I went to Lagos, and that should be about 2 or 3 months. It should be June or July. So I went to his factory, and he said he's the one in charge of this. I think there's a Lagos microfinance or NISA stuff, SMEs, all this. They do the SMEs and all this stuff. So he said he knows I'm the farm, and what about those farmers with me? I told him yes, they plant tomatoes, and he wants to come and said there's okay. They want to, if I can coordinate farmers and for tomato planting, and they want to bring in mini processing. When I mean mini processing, there is a way you can process tomato that is really mini. You know what I mean by mini, as in you don't need to use a bigger, like Dangote and the likes have a very big factory, but for this one it's a smaller factory, so they don't use to you understand. So because they now said they want to come and establish one here in Nagua and Mojo, or where they want to work with farmers, so that like now that they are producing, and there's, you know, I was telling you that last week it was 300 naira per basket, but now today is 700 naira. I know, like the glut finished early this year, but assuming the mini processor is there, they will have been supplying to that processing factory, as in the tomatoes, but they will have to plant processing tomato and not just any tomatoes. Like I told you, we've explained it at the beginning that processing tomatoes are tomatoes that they are thicker, because for an investor, how do you, this other one, they are watery. They easily bring out water and they have plenty of water. They cannot even be moved over a long distance. The ones the farmers are planting now, which is hybrid that are mostly processing tomatoes. Okay, so that is that. So these are the things for the processing. Like I tell, because of the challenges of because if there's anybody that knows they want to, I'm not coordinating tomato cluster. I will tell you why I'm not coordinating it. My community plants tomatoes, but water is a major problem. On my home farm, I have irrigation, as in I have borehole. Other farmers don't have borehole. They don't have access to that, except I create I create a dam or a mini dam for them. I've been trying to do that for past years, but I'm still working on it, but I don't want to bank on that. And then I have a lot of demand, as in vegetables. I want to coordinate the farmers there to plant not only tomatoes, as in I have demand from shops, from even today before I start this class, somebody already got in touch with me again. We're talking of exporting. And he sent me what they need. And I told him, we need I need the variety needed. I need to know the people that will collect it. See, like when we started this class, I said, you need to have a market before you produce anything. Don't produce anything if you don't have the market. So now the markets are here, but I need producers. And so I'm trying to, if any one of us there, you can coordinate farmers or you can plant yourself, no problem. But personally for me, with the experience I've had with farmers and everything, I don't want, tomato is really, really, except I'm producing it personally for myself, like the way I target market and everything. It's not something I want to put all my effort, but it's highly, it can make you and it can merge you. So I've done that before, and there was a lot of, so I don't want to do that now. But if anybody have interest, I wouldn't mind linking you or whatever. But processing, you have to be able to produce all year round. You need irrigation. You need it could be in any location. You need irrigation, and you have to use the same seed all through. If you can get farmers that will do that, they want to do the mini processing for the tomatoes. Because like I told you, we are importing paste into the country, tomato paste, seriously. So guys, I will say thank you for joining us. So let's see if we have questions. Let's see so that we can discuss it, and then we just have 20 minutes so that we can discuss it, and if there's any question. Okay, so please. Should I? Okay. Should we unmute? Okay. Please, you can unmute so that we can discuss it. If anyone have question. Hello, are we here? Okay. Okay. Does it mean we can plant tomatoes?
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Thank you very much. An interesting lecture, and I'm very happy you gave me the opportunity to attend. Please, are you hearing me, please?
Yes, ma'am, I'm hearing you, ma'am.
Yes, you talk about the nursery, and you said something about the sawdust, manure, ash, mixing together with ashes. Can you please tell us the proportion, or we can just put any quantity while we are preparing the nursery?
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, ma. Thank you. Now, if you want to mix them together, that soil that you raised, we said you will sieve that soil. You will sieve it with a basket so that you remove stones and every other thing. So when you remove the stones and you sieve it, the quantity of the soil you want to use should be times 3:1 to the other ones. If you take quantity, if your soil is 3 kg, so you take ashes. If your soil is 3 kg, take manure 1 kg, take sawdust 1 kg, then take ashes like half of 1 kg, 500 grams, then you mix them together. 3 ratio. Ashes and manure and sawdust should be the same ratio, 1:1. Then the soil should be ratio 3, and then you should have your ashes to mix it. What it does is that the manure supports it with nutrient, nitrogen, and everything. The ashes give it phosphorus that strengthens the plant, and your soil being loosed, It makes you the penetration of the roots to go deeper when it can go deeper, because the roots of tomatoes must go from the nursery. You don't need it much because it's just on the surface you will use it. So, but your bed too, on the bed must be loose with manure, because the roots of tomato go 30 centimeters deep. Please, there's a question I read. Let me quickly answer that before I move to another one. The question is, can't we still plant tomato this year? See, it's a tasky question, but if you plant, don't plant plenty. We are now in August. If you nurse now in August, you'll be transplanting in, I'm quickly saying out, if you nurse in August now, you transplant in September. Yes, you transplant in September, and then it will use 2 months again to grow. That's October, November. So if your tomato is coming out, your tomato will be coming out November ending or towards December. It can move with the December market, but you need to be sure, you need to start right now so that you can sell it off in December. You shouldn't have any extra to enter January. I hope I answered that question. Ma, did I answer that? The mixing ratio 3-1-1 half. Ashes should be the half. It can be 1 too. Okay, the other question. Considering the glut that will happen in December, does it mean we can't plant again this year to make high profit? Like December is dicey because of the celebrations. You know, there's usually wedding. Everybody have shifted so many things to December. So December price sometimes could be high, sometimes may not be high. See, this is what happened. The northerners start bringing tomatoes in December. So if they don't have much to bring in December, the price will be high. But if they have plenty to bring in December, the price it won't go low, but it will be average. You understand what I mean? Okay, you see, that plastic crate, there are sometimes you go to the market. I'm using 20 kg plastic crate. If you go to the market for the plastic crate, there are sometimes in the market, you sell it 20,000. Even they'll be begging you 23,000, 18,000. Recently, they did that. As of 2 weeks ago, it was sold for 2,500. Yes, a friend of mine in Lagos told me he saw it and it was 2,500 or 3,000 by the roadside. As of now, I don't know how much it will be picking. See, once our local area is picking up, I know it's also picking up outside. You understand? So since our own can pick from 300 to 700, the small basket we use, obviously that 250 will have been going to like 4,000 or 5,000 now. It means by the time September, October, it will be extremely high. But it's the northerners that determine the market. Actually, if I have my way, it's good for someone to be planting every month. But as a farmer, you don't want your money to go to waste. Another thing I did not mention, which I don't know if I can do the network. I'm not doing cluster there, but if I can create the market, then I will inform everyone eventually that may love to go with tomatoes. See, the shops, like the hotels and restaurants, they buy tomatoes too in cages. The ShopRite buys tomato, but ShopRite buys standard tomatoes, quality to, as in ShopRite all year and buy about 500 or 600 per kg. But it's like I said, it has to be. Most of the ShopRite tomatoes and the tomatoes that go to stores are planted in greenhouse. They don't want to see any spot on it. It must not have any spot. It is when they don't have at all from those people that they will buy from you that plant it outside. You know, when you plant in greenhouse, it protects your tomato from insects, from pests, from so many things. Those tomatoes are really very beautiful, and I'm being sincere with you. But for us planting outside, we don't have that much precaution. You understand? Greenhouse is expensive for people to take, and so is standard market that is good for that. So they don't relay. So I don't know if I can network the hotel. I remember about 2 years ago, I tried to get across to hotel.ng. It was owned by a guy in Akwa Ibom. What I was trying to get across to him to do is, okay, give me the list of the hotels. He has access to hotels. I'm not even asking for it, it's free. Give me the list of all the hotels. He has, then I think he said he has a list of all the hotels in Nigeria. I am looking for that list, and what I want to do with the list is to market them, as in target them and market them for supply of vegetables. See, there are opportunities. The problem we have is breaking barriers, as in doing the network. See what we did at Ileko, the store we took. I have to keep running and keep up with so many things to make that place work. And that's why you see me creating network. I want people to supply. As I'm speaking with you, we need plenty of vegetables, and we have markets that are taking it from us, but we don't even have from farmers. Meanwhile, the initial plan was that, okay, there are plenty of farmers that are looking for market. It's just for them to bring it and we sell. But now that the place is there, we discover it's not that the farmers are not producing, but okay, look at me. I produce tomato. I will wait 3 months before I harvest. It's when you finish harvesting, maybe extra 1 or 2 months, before you will plant another one again. It means we seriously need a large network. Unlike the northerners that have plenty network. You understand what I mean? And that's why you see me online everywhere. I'm looking, creating. I want more people to join production so that we can consistently have all year round. Even in my locality here, like I told you, I'm trying to create a mini dam. I'm trying to create a mini dam where I will now bring back our farmers. I have a farmers group before that I don't bother. I'll bring them back this time around. We sit down and discuss, and because there's no rain, so that they can sit around the dam and plant something for me. Because right now we seriously need it, because rain has really destroyed a lot of things. But like I said, it's just getting the network for the markets are there. Do you know, very soon now, Ghanaians, Cameroonians, they will start bringing tomatoes to come and sell in Nigeria. They bring in tomato to come and sell. And here we'll be shouting, there's no tomato. It's just targeting the market. But the market for this year is dicey. Again, why is dicey? I learned our calculations might not work. If you can take a risk, you can still plant. I'll tell you why. There's possible. I learned there's flooding in the north. If the flooding persists or is much, they will not be able to plant. I'm sorry, I'm not wishing them bad, but I'm just telling you, those are the things we used to calculate. Sometimes it could be good, but I just told you what happened every year. But sometimes things could change. Like this year, the glut for the southern states, southwest state, is so very short. It's only within 2 or 3 weeks that they sold tomato cheap. I was surprised that the price has picked up again. So it was really, by now we should still be in the glut. But the glut has gone. So you can take the risk or whatever, but don't plant plenty. You might take the risk and beat it up. But if it come out before December, you can sell the December market because of the activities. But January, no. What's the estimated cost of drip irrigation for 1 acre? Honestly, that question people ask me, but it's not a straightforward thing to answer. I will just give you. Right now, I was telling you that if you buy 1,000 or 2,000 meter, I think it was sold for 80,000. So if you are using my own type of drip, you are using 8,000 meter. There's accessories. There are different types of accessories. There's the one that have valve. There's the one that do not have valve. If you are buying the one for valve, you buy 320 pieces if you are using my system of farming. 320 pieces, I think 50, see, is something. I can give you a contact. Oh yeah, if you have something right, 070. Oh no, not 070. Sorry, let me pick the number so that. So let me give you the number. Okay, sorry. Let me give you the number for the drip. So that I just call him, let him give you calculation. Me, I'm not too good. Okay, Abby. As in, let me know. He's the one that sell it. Just call him and okay, drip. 080 251 71575. His name is Lukman. He's in Lagos. Shall I call it again? 080 2517 1575. He sell drip tapes. He'll give you a good price. I don't know the price. I don't want to start cracking my brain. Then since it's what he does, he'll be able to give you the breakdown, the full breakdown, as in list everything for you. So he'll be able to give you the breakdown and list everything for you. So you can get the price, but I don't, for 1 acre. Then like I told you, there are different 1 acre. Like my home system, I maximize with plant population to increase the yield. But if you can still make it, but please be careful with it. Like December, because of the market, as in because of party and all of these things. But after December, price usually, January is no tomato price. January, February, March. April is dicey because It's either they are, but sometimes their tomato finish early. If you didn't finish early, then like on my farm now, as soon as we finish establishing all this, the next crop will start planting cucumber. Because since we are early entering dry season, all this season took me time to study. So we start planting cucumber now. All this rain-fed cucumber, people that are planted with rain, they're selling now. So we start planting our own cucumber. We'll start by September. Yeah, this August. We not plant until September, October, November. That's what we'll plant to enter next year. So we'll not be planting any tomato now until January, until March next year or February next year. But except like if there's a processing, like the chili pepper we are planning the other time, because there's the everyday market for it, as in there are people that want to take it. That one doesn't have time. But for tomatoes, we don't, except if the transportation, collecting it, moving it together is my main challenge. If not, we could have said, okay, let's form a cluster there so that they can bring the processing something. If they bring it here, how will people from other places get their tomatoes here? Except that's the challenge here. That's the challenge, so that's why I don't know how to handle tomatoes for now. Assuming it should be for tomato, it should be for people in the same area, in the same locality, and as in they should be like 10, 15, 20, 30 minute distance, 30 minutes distance to themselves, not we Lagos, Abeokuta, or your state. No, the distance are much for tomatoes. It's not advisable. It's not really advisable. So that's why I couldn't really say we should get a cluster for it. Can one crop rotate with tomato? Can one crop rotate tomato with cucumber? That's cucumber after tomatoes. See, cucumber, tomato is fruit. Cucumber is also fruit. Yes, yes. But make sure your tomatoes is fully manured, so that even if it's taking plenty of the manure, the cucumber will still meet plenty of the manure. Yes, we do that. Actually, what we do, see, what I do, I plant cucumber before planting tomatoes. Cucumber is 40 days, 36, 37, 40 days. So I rather first use cucumber as a first crop. Okay, this is what I do. We plant, if I want to start a new place, as a new soil, a new site, a new space I'm opening, I'll first start with cucumber. I put manure, I plant my cucumber. Cucumber will just take few of that manure because it's just 40 days and the manure are not even fully dissolved in the soil. So tomatoes is staying 3 months. So I'll quickly plant my cucumber and take it off 40 days. Then the staking I use for the cucumber, I will use it to tie the tomato. Meanwhile, you cannot use tomato staking for cucumber, but you can use cucumber staking for tomato. So I'd rather go for cucumber first on a place. Like all the new places we have, and I'm telling you, like, right? Okay, another thing I'll just tell you, so that if you are doing raised bed, or if you want to plant all year round, you want to do dry season farming, this is the time for you to prepare your bed down. This is the time to create the bed. Because if you don't create it now, once the rain stops, and maybe September, October, November, once the rain stops, nobody will be able to, the soil will be hard, will not be able to till the bed. But what we do, we create the bed now, even if we are not using it, we design the bed and we create it now. So that when the rain stops, all we need to do is just to clear the bed and put drip tapes and start planting. So like, as soon as my boys finish establishing our tomato, because we have, like I told you, okay, we only pepper, we've established tomato. After we move the pepper, onions, and all the things we have in the nursery, they will be making beds with the rain, the little rain that is now, as in creating that raised bed. We'll create like 2 acres of raised bed, like 160 beds. We'll create it and leave it, and now start using it gradually. In dry season, they won't be able to use hands to till the soil. So, but already since we've raised it down, we just need to put drip tapes and put everything we want to use, and we start planting. That is what we do. So I'm informing you now so that it not be an issue later. So that, because from now till when the rain stops, if you really want to do raised bed, you should start creating it now. Create extra so that even in dry season, you don't need to bother about bed making again. Just so in rainy season we make our bed, and in dry season we use it. By another rainy season, we turn it over again. So that's how we do the bed on the farm, so that you can You can be prepared. It won't be okay when you are ready, you find out, oh, the soil is hard. How will I till it? No, you can. Okay. Can the same drip tape be used for different crops? Definitely. Yes, now. See, once you lay the bed, once you lay the drip tape, like I told you, because I use 30 centimeter distance for everything I plant. Tomato, pepper, cucumber, anything I'm planting, I use 30 centimeter. Even maize. I plant my maize at 30 centimeter. So if we plant, if we put cucumber now, we plant cucumber. By the time we harvest the cucumber, we'll just remove the cucumber, we'll uproot the cucumber and then use the bed like that. The tapes as they are, we open water. The point where we remove the cucumber, we might just shift a bit so that it won't be that, the point will be, might have been disturbed. You understand? Just shift a little bit. The same spot we plant there, the same drip tape, you can continuously, on a raised bed, if you plant cucumber, the cucumber use 40 days. With your preparation, everything, you use 50 days. You put maybe tomato or you put maize, it will use 3 months. After that 3 months, that's when we now put pepper. Pepper will now be the last, because pepper is a perennial something. We can leave it till whenever we like again. Because after the pepper, we need to rotate again. We might now look for beans or groundnuts. Like all the places we were using last year now, we've converted it. Like this year, it's not because we planted groundnuts and beans, not because we want to plant it, because we have to leave that place to make it fallow. So we planted groundnuts and moved to a new site. So like that's why I said we are making new beds now for the new place we want to create in dry season. So the old one we are using now is filled with beans, groundnuts, and some other things. That's the way. Yes, you can use the same drip tape continuously. I've experimented with the 30 centimeter spacing, but find the plant being too compact, tight, leading to an increase in disease outbreaks. How do you deal with it? Okay, if you're using 30 centimeter compact, as in close together, no, it's not tight. Now let me explain the reason we use 30. If you want to, your disease could come either from your soil or from the implements you are using. One, because let me put something. If you do crop rotation, most times you reduce disease infestation when you rotate. Now, this is how it works. I plant cucumber at my 30 centimeter. By the time you put manure and everything. When you build them like a kid, when you have a child and the child is well fed and everything, it will be, or the child has the immunization or the immunization required. It will be the child will be resistant to so many things. So if the child is resistant to so many things, resistance to sickness and all these things, all this immunization they give us. So if at some point it's getting weak and you quickly remove him from that environment or the environment that is getting him sick or whatever, he will be able to survive. I'm sorry to use that to compare with plants. Like plants now, if you plant cucumber, you equip the cucumber with manure, water, and all this stuff, and they are strong, they produce for you. Immediately you remove it, rotate with another crop. If you repeat the same cucumber there, it will be diseased. It may not even do well. Let me tell you a story. We planted cucumber somewhere, and I told my farmers that it won't do. I said, no, it will do it. I said, no. But sometimes I allow him to do something because he has been very good. I allow him to do things so that he testifies. It's an expensive mistake and an expensive practice, and I know. So I gave him, he planted another 20 beds on that place. He was sad the day he came to inform me that, that thing did not do it. I said, well, I told you. He said, yes. Since then, if I say, no, don't repeat things, he won't even ask me. He will even come and confirm from me that, can we plant this after this? Because I allow him to do that and we lost. Yes, we lose a lot of seed because I bought East-West seed then. So what I'm explaining is that the disease that may affect your plant could either come from the soil or anything, not because they are close together. Let me give you another example now. You see, I pick a lot of my system from Market Gardener. Market Gardener have grown to the extent that they don't even use any pesticide, they don't use any organic material or whatever. They grow, but they follow strictly crop rotation. And then in their crop rotation, do you know Market Gardener plant very close than what I'm doing now. I tried copying exactly what they are doing, and I felt it's too close. So I reduce, because in market gardener, they use 0.75 centimeter for their raised bed and they plant 3 plants. So when I did my own as double, I used 1.5, 1.6 for my raised bed. So I thought, since market gardener is using 3 on 0.75, since I'm using double of what it's using, let me use 6. But even arranging it, I felt it's too tight. So I reduced to 5. Even the 5, I was still not satisfied. I reduced to 4. But if you understand, by the time you keep your rotation and you get the system, honestly, it's not the plant, the closeness that brought the disease. Though I agree with you, when any one of them have infection, it quickly spread because they are close together. But what we try to do is to prevent them even having any infestation. Prevent them having any infestation from every material you use. Like you see, the way poultry people take care of their crops, that they don't allow people to just come in or anything or anytime, is the way vegetable farmers should take care of their farm. Don't just allow anybody to come in with any boots, with anything, because they can go to any farm and bring anything to your farm. So it's not the closeness that make them to, no, it's not. I've been using, and like I told you, market gardener, I even use tight, is even, okay, use a tight, the spacing for market gardener is closer than that. How do one, and they are using the same method, how do one weed on the beds without damaging drip tapes? Should it be hand weeding? Yes, we use hand weeding. 2, there's a small hole I created for myself, very tiny hole. I use it to weed it. Yes, we use, the weeding is tedious, very tedious. So you have to be very careful so that you don't destroy the drip. Most times hand weeding, but let me tell you, hand weeding easily grow weed back. When I use hand and my boys use hose, I discover their own last longer than me that use hand. So most times I don't use, except for nursery, I don't use hand weeding, but the boys are learning. See, if it's before they do work somewhere, I told them, just do my own gently. You know, these tapes, please, you know, I kind of beg, please. So now they are used to my system of farming. So they don't rush our work. And me, even if to them, they feel they are slow, but it's okay with me as long as they don't destroy everything. So please, For the tomato cluster, how many tons or acre are we expected to produce? Or plants before we can be qualified for the mini processor? Actually, they did not give me any size, but they want the issue. See, I think you know what I'll do, Ma? I'll call him and ask for how many tons the machine can produce per day. So it is how many tons the machine can produce per day that will determine the, you know, you have to meet up with what, like for instance, you have to, if it's 5 tons or 4 tons, it means you need to have farmers or farms that can be supplying that 4 tons or 5 tons. So once you want that, then there's no, let me call him. I'll call him. If I don't call today, I will call tomorrow. Then I'll give you feedback so that to know how many tons the machine, I will ask him, that machine, how many tons can it even produce per day, so that we see, then I can get back to you, Ma. I've never even thought about it. So that, please, how one crop rotate this plant, cucumber, tomatoes, maize? Okay, like I just said, first go with cucumber. Cucumber is the first 40 days so that you quickly pick it up. After cucumber, put tomatoes. After tomatoes, go for maize. Then, no, I didn't see cabbage. Cucumber go first. Tomatoes follow. Yes, you even arrange it in the right. But before, see, if once you go cucumber, tomatoes, maize, make sure you put manure on the soil. You've used it 1 year. The 3 crops, cucumber, tomatoes, maize, will have used 1 year. Even if your cucumber use 40 days and the manure in the soil, we keep depreciating. You know, cucumber we take out of it, tomatoes we take out of it, maize we still take out of it. Then please put cabbage. Put another manure. It will have been a year before you put cabbage. Put another manure and then put cabbage. You don't even need to disorganize the bed. Like what we do, like today, my boys are remaking the bed. Where we remove maize now, we want to put pepper there. And I told you, pepper stay longer. So my boys they remove the tapes, and even the maize stalk that we remove, they are burying it in the soil and putting soil on it. So it will decay and be part of the manure that will supply us, that will produce for our pepper. So you can do them. Cucumber first is faster, then tomatoes, then after tomatoes, maize. But before you continue, add another manure to the bed for you to produce your cabbage. They are all not in the same family. Cucumber is cucurbite, tomato is solanase, maize is corn greens family, and then cabbage is another family. They are not in the same family, the four of them. They are not in the same family. So you can arrange them like that. Maize go first, cucumber go first, because it's short, and then you quickly remove it, and then you put your tomatoes. Okay, I think cucumber will stay more than, because we have several harvests. No, yes. But you know, harvest of cucumber is every 4 days, and you cannot harvest more than 7 or 8 times. It won't even be up to that, maybe 6 times. See, if your cucumber produce very well, if you harvest 5 times, you've had enough. Like, okay, the other time we planted 9 beds, and from the 9 beds, I think we harvested 4 times, but we have 100 bags. So it's not about, you understand? And that 4 times is just after the 40 days, just within 3 weeks that we finish harvesting. So the highest it stays is like the worst case 60 days or so for cucumber. Let's say 60 days. Or mostly I calculate, there's 12 months. I calculate for 4 months. 4 months. That's 12 months for each. There is even tomato. The cucumber shorter days. The remaining days in cucumber, you can use it in tomatoes, and maize is once you harvest maize. So it's like it's tomato that may use the extra days in the cucumber. Yes, cucumber stay more than 40 days, but it's not much. If your harvest is good, if you harvest 4 or 5 times, you've recovered everything. If your crop produces very well, 4 or 5 times, you are good with cucumber. You don't need, see, it's when it's not good, you start harvesting small batches. But when it's good, I remember that 9 beds, when we planted, the first harvest we got 28 bags. The second harvest, I think we got about 20 or 20 something. The third one, we have 30 something bags. I was like, wow. And in total, we have 100 and something bags. But we have our harvest was just 4 times. 4 or 5 times, because the 5th one was something I asked them to be eating on the farm. We didn't go to the market with it again because it's not much again. So if your harvest is good for cucumber, within the highest cucumber we use from you 2 months, 2.5 months, you are done with your cucumber. Worst case 3 months. So you know you have extra months. Then tomato spend some months. Actually, tomato spend some months. And then most cases we put pepper at the last, because pepper stay longer on the farm. Pepper are perennial crops, so we put pepper as the last batch on that queue. And then it's when we start a new set again. So are we still expecting some other question? So those are the things we need to do: integrated farming and so many things, and a lot of things, put a lot of things in place. And honestly, like I told you, Agric is good. That now that we are even trying to look at the cluster system, it's going to give us a consistency, as in, okay, there's a consistency, there's consistency in market, and it's the market that is most important, because as farmers, we buy materials expensive, you buy seed expensive, you create land expensive, everything. Then we get to the market, we sell at the worst price. It's not good at all. So we need to find a way around it as working together. And that's why the idea of cluster makes a big sense, makes a lot of sense. I think cucumber, okay, when are we getting the recorded version? I should get it out latest by tomorrow. Latest tomorrow. You see, now let me tell you how it works. Like after this training now, because I'm not recording on cloud, I'm recording on my system. It will take several hours. It will now convert it to MP4, MP3. That's when I will now, even sometimes it takes like 3, 4, sometimes it takes a longer time, depending on the length of the video. It takes time to convert. And most times I will not even stay with it. So that's why I don't send it immediately. If I see, and it's easier for you because you can watch it all the time. You don't need to be going through Zoom. If you notice the link I'm sending, you don't need to keep going through Zoom to watch it. So I don't store it. I'm not storing it. So it takes hours. It may not convert till maybe midnight today. So it's when it finished converting, I will now get the link. So that's why I don't send it on time. So I will send the videos to be sent latest tomorrow. I will send it out. Latest tomorrow. But immediately we finish now, you start converting, and that conversion takes a lot. Even the conversions, it takes a lot. I will just leave it on the system for like several hours. So it's when it finished converting. latest tomorrow, I should be sending it out. Okay. So thank you, Mas. Thank you, sir. You are highly welcome. And I hope it's been worth the effort. Like the cluster man, I will call I'll call him and find out from him so that I'll task him so that we can. Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. We appreciate your commitment. Thank you, Ma. It's for all of us, Ma. We are really suffering, as in, you are welcome, sir. We farmers are really going through a lot. It's sad when you buy expensively everywhere, everything. At the end of the day, you are not getting better price. And you find out the market women, the middlemen are taking all the profits. And I felt we need to do something. We need to build something. And I discovered one person, two people cannot even do it. But as a group, it's easier for us. And I see that's what they do in Ghana. I went to Cote d'Ivoire one other time, whatever. If you see, they took us to a cluster. They are producing, it's not Gary, they call it there, but it's cassava they're using to produce it. They're in a group, they have a building. Immediately they finish producing, some people are coming there to export it. And I was like, but then, to be candid, it's never occurred to me that we can also be forming clusters for other things in Nigeria here. Because I look at them, they already have somebody that is buying it. So the women just bring the process. It's a processing factory owned by the women. You know what I mean? They are frying something, not the way our women are frying gari. They're even using gas. It's cassava they used to, because I can't eat that. It's not gari, but they use cassava. They were converting that thing. They were plenty there. And but then it never occurred to me that, okay, this system too can be adopted here, because I look at us at a point that, okay, if the mini processing is somewhere, some farmers there, it will increase their livelihood. If another one is somewhere there, it will boost and then every one of us will be able to get better money instead of we keep spending on the farm and we're not getting any. Guys, because let me just convert the video. So guys, I will send the video. Let me just convert it so that we can have it, and then by next class. Okay, thank you so much.